NRL Finals focus, time for the big dance. The two best sides of the modern era, the Melbourne Storm, powerhouse for probably 2 decades, and Penrith on the verge of becoming the first team since the middle of the 1960s to win 4 or more premierships in a row. They're already the first team in 40 years with a three-peat. It's going to be a fascinating battle. These two sides in the last 5 years have won at least 17 more games than any other side in the competition. They've clearly been the two to beat, and it was the Melbourne Storm, by beating Penrith in the 2020 grand final, it probably launched the Panthers dynasty. They learnt a lot that day, and now they can get the opportunity to come full circle and beat the side that denied them on that occasion. It's going to be a cracker, so we'll get into our finals focus. Stats that matter for the Melbourne Storm. One of the keys to their success has been discipline and limiting mistakes. They completed at a ridiculous 95% against Cronulla during the finals campaign. They had possession of the ball for 59% of that game. Against the Roosters, they went at 67% and had the ball 52% of the time. It's almost impossible to lose in those circumstances, given how much damage they do with the ball. It looks like a game where mistakes are going to be of an absolute minimum, and if you do draw it into that, the Melbourne Storm's missed tackle percentage is higher. They've missed 85 less tackles than Penrith over the course of the season, and if you go back to that 2020 grand final, they conceded just 12 penalties to 18. They've been ruthlessly efficient, and they've proven more capable of damaging the opposition than any other side. Going to mention a couple of players for the key player for Melbourne Storm. So Jerome Hughes has been instrumental in what they've put together all year. You speak about that discipline and that completion. He is front and centre in all of that. But on the other side of the coin, the player that was best of field in the 2020 grand final, Ryan Papenhuyzen, had a shocking run of injuries since that day, with the broken foot and the knee and the dangerous tackle that he copped along the way too. But he's a game breaker. He was scintillating in the preliminary final, and who can forget that 80-metre try run 4 years ago in the grand final. So on both sides of the coin, I think they're the keys for the Storm. Stat that matter for the Panthers, it's all about whether they can restrict the Storm and put them into less than desirable positions. They've run for over 2,000 more metres and had over 1,000 more kick return metres than other sides in the competition this season. Back five are going to have a heck of a lot of work to do. If we do compare the two sides, the Panthers are about 2 points per game better defensively, and the Storm are about 6 points per game better offensively. So can the Panthers, who haven't been absolutely as sharp in attack this year, strangle the Storm as they've done with every other side in the competition? They've conceded 12 points or less in 7 of their last 8 finals. Can they find the squeeze one more time? Well, we mentioned him last week, and you'll always mention him at this time of year, Nathan Cleary. There is the speculation he did cop another little niggle on that shoulder late in their preliminary final win over the Sharks, and have insisted that is okay, but a lot of the physios around the competition and a lot of former club doctors have suggested that it is a risk. That's an injury that could flare up in the first minute or two of a game. So he's going to be crucial. Absolutely dynamic in last year's grand final, dragged them over the line, and he had the final touch in the first 3 tries they scored in the preliminary final. So he's still going to be absolutely crucial if they are to win a 4th straight flag. Well, the Melbourne Storm lead their head-to-head against Penrith, as they do against most sides, 31-15, but Penrith have won 6 of the last 10. They're the only side since 2018 to have a positive winning record against Melbourne in that period at 58%. The next best is way down at 39% with Cronulla during that run. Interestingly though, with Penrith's 4 losses in the last 6 years, they've been held scoreless twice by the Melbourne Storm, including in round 1 this year. So they have generally been defensive struggles, but Penrith have stacked up pretty well, including in the last 2 finals meetings, preliminary finals in 2021 and 2023, where the Panthers got hold of the Storm convincingly. Well, these sides have met twice this year. The season started with the Melbourne Storm making a statement, 8-0 at Amy Park in the opening round, holding the reigning premiers scoreless. Then they beat them in New South Wales in round 24 in one of the games of the season, 24-22. So Penrith are going to have to overcome a side that's beaten them twice this year if they are to get through and win a 4th straight flag and complete that full circle dynasty on the back of losing to Melbourne in 2020. Well, it's going to be a cracker. You can't imagine there'll be too much in this game. Penrith shooting for 4 on the bounce. They're the number 1 defensive side in the competition, ranked 6th in attack as well. Storm, the number 1 offensive side, 140 more points they've scored than Penrith this year and have conceded about 50 more going the other way to be ranked 4th in defence. So Penrith shooting for history against the side that denied them at the start of that run in 2020. It's nearly impossible to tip against Penrith in a final, particularly a grand final. But I think the Storm have been the best side in the competition all year. They're minimising mistakes. They've been ruthlessly efficient in attack, and they've got the necessary game breakers to get the job done. I think they'll record another premiership in the remarkable Craig Bellamy era. And you can check out all of the action at the NRL Finals Hub at zerotackle.com.